is a stick-up! Who are you?
Who am I? If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be wearing a mask.
There are people who believe that this world is fair and good. It's all lollipops and rainbows. We don't do lollipops and rainbows. We know those are pretty colors that just hide what the world really is. Black and white.
Soon thou shalt save us, and we will whisper, no.
We convinced ourselves that they were gone, but they were just hibernating. They came for everybody. Hold, please.
Coordinated simultaneous attacks at the homes of Tulsa PD. So the cops hide their faces, and now the bad guys don't know where they live. And who doesn't want a secret identity?
Ta-da!
People who wear masks are dangerous. We should be scared of them.
Why?
Because they're hiding something.
Lori Blake, FBI. You know how you can tell the difference between a masked cop and a vigilante?
No.
Me neither.
There was a vast and insidious conspiracy at play. If I told you about it, your head would explode.
Who are you?
Maybe, I'm Dr. Manhattan.
He lives on fucking Mars.
You curse too much.
Oh, shit!
Nothing ever ends. It's only just begun.
Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to do a breakdown of the new Watchmen on HBO trailer that they dropped at Comic-Con this weekend. Like most fans, I had been waiting patiently for this in coordination with the Twitter campaign, and I have to say, wow. I had high expectations for this, and my initial reaction is that they exceeded them. We also got a release date for Season 1, at least that we know now that Watchmen will premiere in October. I'm going to forgo any attempt at looking at this as a straight scene-by-scene breakdown because it's a 3-minute long trailer that's packed with Easter eggs. Instead, I'll look at all the major stuff and the high points and possibly make some more detailed videos sometime this week where I look at it a little bit closer. This video will contain spoilers about the ending of the source material, the original comic book series Watchmen, so if you're planning on reading that, I would come back after you finish doing it before you watch this video because it's going to get spoiled otherwise. With that out of the way, let's get into it. The biggest takeaway about the new Watchmen trailer is that they seem to provide a lot of answers to the questions we had after the initial teaser came out a couple months ago. I was pretty surprised that we found out that Jean Smart's character is, in fact, Silk Spectre. Don Johnson's character looks like he's almost definitely Nite Owl / Dan Drieberg. And also, Dr. Manhattan will, in fact, make an appearance, and on top of that, it looks like he'll be returning to Earth. These were all theories that were kicking around after the first look video, and there you go, we have some answers. The nice part about the fact that they're giving us answers is that we get a feeling that there's a much deeper story under the surface that we can start to focus on, so I'm excited. The trailer opens with a TV show inside the TV show. Similar to how The Black Freighter was a comic inside the Watchmen comic, it appears that American Hero's story, Minutemen, is a fictional show about the Minutemen that's inside of the Watchmen TV show. In that, we see a robbery taking place in the 1940s era and see the costume adventurer Hooded Justice arrive on the scene. The clerk says, "Who are you?" and he replies, "Who am I? If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be wearing a mask." The new character Looking Glass takes notice of this as he's eating what looks like beans straight out of a can, Rorschach style. I can't lay out the whole backstory here, but the Minutemen were a group made up of masked adventurers that predate the Watchmen comic by 40 plus years. Hooded Justice was the first guy to put on a mask and fight crime, which inspired others to follow his lead and do the same. This phenomenon changed things and is where the alternate reality of the Watchmen universe diverges from our world. The show existing is the first of many reminders that even though it looks like our world, the Watchmen universe has definitely developed differently than ours has. After Hooded Justice's corny line and Looking Glass's "What am I doing with my life" reaction, we get our first introduction to Angela Abraham. She says, "There are people that believe this world is fair and good. It's all lollipops and rainbows. We don't do lollipops and rainbows. We know those are pretty colors that just hide what the world really is, black and white." She's talking to a child who is unnamed at this point. We see some family photos in the background, but they don't seem to be related to anyone else we see in the trailer, so I don't know who this girl is. This conversation jumped out at me as I was rewatching, in that from what we've seen, Angela is who we expect to be the closest thing to a good guy in this story, but her way of thinking here sounds very similar to Rorschach. Rigid, inflexible, black and white thinking, and the trailer cuts directly to our modern day Rorschachs for the next part of the dialogue, who with a nod to the opening of the comic book say, "Soon they will shout, 'Save us,' and we will whisper no." So if there's any question as to whether Rorschach's journal was printed or not, this seems to confirm it. Of course, the existence of this Rorschach cult made that pretty clear anyways, but now they seem to be paraphrasing the journal if not quoting from it. From there, we get a little more information about how the Rorschachs are waging war against the police. We hear Chief Judd Crawford addressing the police again. We convinced ourselves they were gone, but they were just hibernating. We see those guys preparing to do battle. He continues, "They came for everybody, all police." There's a nice overhead shot here where we see that there are quite a few plainclothes costume adventurers on the police force alongside the masked uniform cops. We see Angela at home with her husband Cal, and we see the Rorschachs mount an attack on them. She looks to hold her own against them, but the real implication here is that they know her identity and know where she lives. To go along with that, we hear another voice continue, "Coordinated, simultaneous attacks at the homes of Tulsa PD. So the cops hide their faces, and now the bad guys don't know where they live. And who doesn't want a secret identity?" There's a sequence with Angela at a school where we see that Robert Redford is the current president in the Watchmen universe, which is a direct callback to the book and a nod to the comedian's pin made out of eggs a la Angela. We get a closer look at the cemetery scene from the other trailer, and what stands out here is that this looks like a funeral of someone important rather than just any police officer. We caught a glimpse of a newspaper saying Ozymandias, aka Adrian Veidt, was officially declared dead, but I don't think this is his funeral because, well, I think it seems a little bit fishy that they would actually kill him off. We see Veidt throughout this trailer, and it's noticeable that he has a cake with one candle that he's blowing out. I'm thinking he might be celebrating the first year of his new life, or 1 year in hiding or on the run, or something along those lines. If you look at the wording on the newspaper article, it says he's been officially declared dead, not that he was found dead or that he was murdered. So I don't know. I don't think it's likely that he's actually going to die, but let me know what you think about that. The next bit of voiceover says, "People who wear masks are dangerous. We should be scared of them." A little girl says, "Why?" And the reply is, "'Cause they're hiding something." If you look at the closed captioning here, it says that this is Cal Abraham, but it's a different actor as far as I can tell, and I have no idea who these people are or what's going on as a result of that. It's interesting, though, that he's pointing out that wearing a mask is something that you do to hide who you are. Throughout this part of the trailer, we see a bus going down with lots of criminals in a warehouse. There are plenty of costume adventurer police on the scene, and so is Special Agent Blake with Pirate Jenny, who we saw in the first trailer, at her side. We also get a look at where those screens that were surrounding Looking Glass came from. It appears as if police do interrogations in this pod or this room, whatever you want to call it, but there's no more details about what exactly is going on here. We see the scene where Angela attacks the guy in the camper again. There's a quick glimpse of a newspaper that says President Redford won't be seeking re-election, and then we get introductions between Laurie Blake and Angela at the cemetery. This is where you realize that Laurie took her biological father, the comedian's last name, and that this character is in fact Silk Spectre 2 from the comic. She says, "Do you know how you could tell the difference between a masked cop and a vigilante?" Angela answers no, and she says, "Me neither." This is a very interesting dynamic, and I suppose we're going to see that play out throughout the series. After that, we meet Louis Gosset Jr.'s character. We aren't sure who he is at this point, but he has some sort of spotlight gadget with him. We see Angela approaching him outside, and we hear the voiceover of his voice say, "There's a vast and insidious conspiracy at play. If I told you about it, your head would explode." Angela cuts in to say, "Who are you?" And he replies, "Maybe, I'm Dr. Manhattan." Angela points out that he lives on fucking Mars, and Louis Gosset Jr. replies that she curses too much. There are two scenes going on here between these characters that are tied together, and in the background we watch a sequence of images while he's talking. We watch Looking Glass pulling on his mask, Ozymandias on horseback riding past the pirate flag again, Laurie walking away from the Dr. Manhattan looking booth that they had at Comic-Con. Perhaps she was making a call to her ex-boyfriend, Dr. Manhattan, and another shot of the incident at the carnival with all the bodies laying around on the ground. There's two other images squeezed in here that catch your eye as being out of place. One looks like a campsite that could be from some time in the distant past. There's a man on the ground that looks like he's been killed. And the second one has a bunch of people crowding around with smoke in the air. Then we get our first glimpse of Dr. Manhattan on Mars through a satellite feed. David Bowie's song Life on Mars kicks in, and then things take off. Dr. Manhattan brings down a castle-looking structure he built that seems to be made of dust. We cut back to Earth and get a glimpse of Archie, the Nite Owl 2's airship flying through the air. Angela is exactly me when she looks up and says, "Oh shit." We get the idea that Don Johnson's character is probably an older Dan Drieberg, aka Nite Owl from the comic. He uses Archie's flamethrower to take out a drone over the farmhouse we saw in the first trailer, and I say he's probably Nite Owl 2 because he also crashes Archie, so it's not clear if he knows what he's doing here or not. It could be that he hasn't flown it for quite a long time and he doesn't have the hang of it anymore, or it could be that Chief Crawford borrowed Archie off the actual Nite Owl. I'm leaning towards it actually being him, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, we see a lot of fighting going down in different locations with cops, Rorschachs, masked adventurers, and some civilians at a trailer park that's called Nixonville. There's a courtroom scene that looks like they're trying Ozymandias for his squid attack on New York at the end of the book. We see an illustration of the squid. The judge is wearing a mask and the court officers are all wearing wigs and robes, so it doesn't look like the US court system in our world anyway. We see car crashes, Archie crashing, Adrian pushing his plunger, an explosion in the street that could be from American Hero Story Minutemen since it looks like it's in the 40s, and we have Ozymandias with a voiceover who says, "Nothing ever ends. It's only just begun." We watch as Laurie is in a face-off with a costumed adventurer who seems to be on the wrong side of the law. His costume almost looks like an updated Nite Owl getup, and we see her shoot him as he tries to escape. A pack of pigs break into the courtroom as Ozzy is talking, and we see Angela and the unnamed child she's with in all these scenes sitting in a car as tiny squids rain down from the sky. The music winds down with the shot as the voiceover finishes, and he has a very satisfied look on his face, which definitely makes me think that he's up to something. Even though the newspapers are reporting that he's dead, there's something else going on. The title pops up after that, and then we watch as Dr. Manhattan walks down the street and picks up a mask that looks like his face. We see the blue hand, so we know it's him, and it definitely looks like he'll be making an appearance at some point in this season. It's not clear. When he was on Mars, it certainly looked like he was glowing. Here, it doesn't look like that, but I wouldn't say that that means it's not him. I definitely think this is Dr. Manhattan, and he's gonna come back to the story. So the trailer ends there, and I did have to cut a lot of stuff out, but I think I hit all the high points. I'm very curious as to whether Chief Crawford is in fact a Nite Owl. We know from the casting that he's got a wife, so it's clear that he's not with Lori anymore. He lives in Tulsa, she comes in from the FBI, so they're all in the same place. Also very curious to find out what Louis Gosset Jr.'s role is in all of this. I think this thing looks fantastic. I was really looking forward to it. It seems to tick all the boxes of the things I was hoping they would get into. I'm super curious to see what you guys think in the comments. There's a ton of new characters here. Most of them aren't named. I think this guy, we know his name is Red Scare. I think he's the only one whose name we actually know from the casting announcements. But there's definitely a lot going on. They definitely are making a lot of references back to the original work, which is very exciting. They seem to be doing it in the right way rather than making it too on the nose, too straightforward. They're doing their own thing, but they're paying homage at the same time, and I think that's going to be fantastic. But let me know what you think. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow along. I'll be doing plenty of Watchmen videos in the lead up to October, and I will definitely be doing weekly videos when the show's on the air. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.